It's Sunday night, and you know what that means. Coming to you live from McDaniel Studios in beautiful downtown Los Ranchos, New Mexico, and the quarantine zone in somewhere in the territory of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
The Oklahoma Territory.
It is our brand new episode of the Zoom, and for the first time ever, broadcasting live. Did I say Zoom?
This is the Zoom.
Oh my God, that's right. This is the Zoom. We're broadcasting live on YouTube and for the first time ever, live on Twitter, X. God knows what it is these days. And so far we have no guests right in the chat. Listen, we're ready for you. I've got to watch my language or we're going to get booted off of everything. We are ready for you lovely gentlemen to join us here in the chat to talk all the latest in the career, the life and times of Mr. CM Pepsi-Man Punk and AEW All Out. Yeah. A pay-per-view that we all knew was going to be good, though completely unnecessary. Kevin, how you been?
I'm much better than last week. I'm healthier mentally, physically.
Are you allowed to leave the room?
I'm emotionally drained. I am allowed to. I almost set up in a different room because I lived in this room for a week. And then I finally got out on Friday, and now today I sat and watched an entire pay-per-view, and yeah. It's a little
How many
soon.
hours of professional wrestling have you watched this week?
I didn't watch any extra.
Nothing extra.
Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh gosh, 15.
I would drive to the veterinarian's office and ask to be put down. Yeah. Immediately asked to be put down. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, that's
no matter how good it was.
AEW.
Oh my God, good Lord!
Oh, I did watch one match from the WWE show last night.
Okay,
15 and a half.
Which match was it?
Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch cage match. It was.
I heard that was one of the best women's matches in WWE history.
It was great. It was one of the best cage matches they've had in a long time. Yeah.
And I'm sure you've watched listened to a number of podcasts. Mm-hmm. Considering we have the CM Punk investigation has come to an end, Kevin.
It has. And so has
how'd that work out?
CM Punk era. Not so well for.
As it turns out, he did not make all in 2024. Who saw that coming?
Was there a bet on that?
Somebody had a bet.
Would he be on the next All Out?
Somebody. I mean, never. Honest to God, as much as Tony Khan loves him, that's not out of the question right now. No. We'll just have to wait a year. Anything, absolutely.
I think if there's one thing that's clear this week, it's that Tony Khan does indeed love CM Punk.
Yes, very much.
You could tell that this was a very painful thing for him to have to do. That finally he listened to advice of counsel, I think, and probably, who knows, maybe a possible revolt from the production staff or wrestlers, or I think is
probably a little bit of
something
both.
He had to do, not something he wanted to do.
Apparently, CM Punk attacked Tony Khan. As Dave Meltzer said, he reported, what was it? Lunged at him, and Dave has said it was much, much more than that.
Yes.
And that he was being very kind to CM Punk. So not only did he physically assault Jungleman, he has the head of CM Punk on his mantle. He's the Jungleman now. Not
That's
only
right.
did he
we were texting, last night we were discussing the possibility of commissioning a painting for Mel Coleman.
Oh my God. If we all pool our money, everyone, the three of you, by the way, you three people in the chat, let us know who you are. Let us know where you're watching from, et cetera, in the comments right now. I'd love to know who's here with us. I think we definitely need to reach out to Mel Coleman. I think we can make it a group effort and acquire, and it'll be a little like the Stanley Trophy. It can stay at everyone's house 1 week out of the year.
We'll make an NFT of it. I won't confirm or deny whether or not I went to a couple of AI image generators to see if they would accept the prompt Jungle Boy Jack Perry holding the severed head of CM Punk while drinking a glass of wine.
Oh my God.
I was not successful because apparently there's something of AI not wanting to.
Perhaps he could be doing that while sitting on
people.
Perhaps he could be doing that while sitting on a real glass table. Hey, Sam Shipman, how are you doing?
Yay.
I'm really disappointed that I am going to have to watch my language while talking about the firing of CM Punk. I've realized I think AEW would be much better if they'd never hired him. And I'm dead serious. Now,
that's a really good question. Okay, yeah.
I think CM Punk has taken the air out of the room on so many wrestlers.
Yeah.
I think he's likely affected the careers of wrestlers he's not liked. And AEW in the past 12 months or the past 14 months or so has had two of their greatest events of all time. All Out last year and All In this year are two of their greatest events. And we left both those events not talking about them at all. Those huge moments in both those pay-per-views got no traction because of CM Punk.
Yeah.
And it was all we talked about for months and months when we could have been talking about all these wrestlers who are coming into their own, like Ricky Starks, like MJF. There's so many. There's too many to name. But we were all distracted by Punk. Now, I do think you couldn't have launched Rampage without him, and clearly you probably couldn't have gotten Collision off the ground without him. And I'm sure there's going to be all this talk from all these CM Punk loyalists about how Collision fell off a cliff as soon as CM Punk got fired, which it's going to, because everyone next Saturday is going to be watching college football. Period.
Right.
I was watching All Out tonight, All In. God, I can't even keep it straight. I was watching All Out tonight and LSU Florida State, which was a bigger ass kicking than Orange Cassidy got. That's what happened at LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a little steamed over that. But I truly think he took so much away from so many different people, whether that was intentional or not, that I think AEW might be further along in developing their own stars, which they clearly need to do. And I think they have done a good job, but I think it could be at the next level if it weren't for the signing of Cornelius Michael Punk.
So let's look at what he did bring to the table. So like you mentioned, the timing
massive
of him
viewers.
arriving, he brought in massive viewers for Rampage when it started. That was a short-term thing. Rampage became a C-level, possibly even a D-level show at this point. Theoretically, he was one of the anchors that got them Collision.
Right.
Don't know if they wouldn't have gotten Collision if he wasn't there or what, but clearly he was considered an asset for that.
Right.
They got good ratings for a while,
but in recent episodes,
more down to earth, what you would expect on a Saturday night wrestling show, and are about to start getting their butt kicked.
Yes.
Who has? Let's see. Creatively, what did he bring to the table? So he brought
some good things that I hope they keep. Actually,
he brought some good things. I think his creative influence on Collision was really good. Collision was my favorite show of the week. He had probably my second favorite feud of all time.
Which one was that?
Which was MJF CM Punk. Only behind Ric Flair and Terry Funk to me.
Right. Depending on the bidding war of 2024, maybe we get a resolution to that. Maybe we'll get
a rematch. But I thought that was a fantastic match, an all-timer. I think it really elevated MJF. Would MJF have found some other way to be elevated if Punk wasn't there? Probably.
I think so.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that in recent weeks, there's been reports that he's been unhappy because there've been a number of segments which have popped higher ratings than his segments.
Yeah.
Either way, go ahead, because we need to get to all out pretty soon.
So that's what I've been trying to do, is sort of like what's the legacy? What did he bring? And I think in the wash, you're probably right. He hurt more than he helped overall, because what he brought to the table was a couple of things that no one else could have done. that probably they could have done without if they had to.
Yeah. Or even perhaps they could have signed him to a couple of short-term deals, a couple of 3 or 4 match deals. You could have avoided all this and gotten the good things out of CM Punk without having him as a weekly cancer inside the locker room. My last thing I'll say is no one in pro wrestling history has ever literally single-handedly split the locker room like CM Punk. He literally took them to another show and kept everyone else off that show. A literal split of the locker room.
Yeah.
And
it's really weird. I had this thought. I sent Garrett a message tonight earlier. I just had this thought, and I didn't really want to post it publicly, but I'll go ahead and say it right here on YouTube.
Oh, man.
So tonight's show was kind of cathartic. It felt like kind of almost joyous in a way. That was like Punk free. It was still weird, this weird thing where you have these Chicago stars, that are so associated with Punk because of the Chicago thing. But it was like this release almost. It was like last night was Collision, like everyone was just sort of stunned and punch drunk basically. Tonight it was like, you know what? We love this company, we love this show, and you could almost feel the Chicago crowd like let it go and start to have fun and just, kind of get it all out of their system. So it occurred to me what this feels like right now is election night, or at least like the first week of, when the election was over in 2020, not to get political, and Joe Biden won. And the people that voted for Joe Biden were like, oh my gosh, he's finally out. We voted him out. Right?
Yep.
The election's over. The guy's gone. Well, we still have a riot at the Capitol and a bunch of criminal investigations coming.
Right.
So that's what I feel like's going on with Punk. Is like the election's over, the guy's been voted out, but I still feel like there's this whole insurrection and like riots and metaphor here.
Lot on Twitter. Lot on Twitter.
There's going to be a whole mess to come. A whole mess to come.
I'm sure there will
really
be.
Ugly. I think this is going to get really ugly. We're going to be talking about this for 2 years.
I'm sure there'll be a lawsuit. There'll be a million things.
Yeah.
But tonight felt like a more, even though it felt like an old school AEW show is what it felt like. And that's what we needed right now. And I really enjoyed it. Yep. Looks like we've got a couple more people here in the chat with us. And now it's time to start talking All Out. Is that the right one?
All Out, yes.
All out. Okay. I'm going to say All In.
Comes before Out
100 times this episode.
That's all right.
Yeah. So
I not to say Shea Stadium.
I know that I know this wasn't called the buy-in, but I missed the buy-in.
Yeah.
I looked it up everywhere. I couldn't find any mention of it. I really hate that I missed the over-budget Battle Royal because I love Battle Royals. I'm going to have to go back and watch this tonight after I log off here.
Yeah.
Hangman Page was the winner. I believe his final opponent in the ring was
Brian Cage.
Brian Cage. What did you think of their little one-on-one affair there at the end?
It was all right. I'd watch. I mean, I think we've seen matches with them, but
yeah,
I'd watch another one. Like, it was a good match. I mean, it was pretty obvious that Hangman was winning pretty much from the time he came out. And,
right.
There was some fun stuff. Hangman and Trent teamed up for a little bit. But other than that, it was pretty missable. But there was a great thing where Hangman took out I keep wanting to say
come on, Kevin. Who did he take out? Was it a large Samoan?
The large Samoan. And I keep
there
wanting to
go.
say Tongaloa, but it's
large
not Tongaloa.
Samoan.
He's a Tongan.
All right, he took out a Tongan. So the winner gets to choose what charity Tony Khan gives $50,000 to. I'm assuming this one is going to be EVs for ranchers. I believe that's going to be Adam Page's charity.
No, he gave it to the Chicago Public Education Fund, giving it to teachers.
Oh, nice.
Of which I guess
fantastic.
Hangman was a former elementary school teacher.
He was in West Virginia.
Can you imagine being like a 6-year-old kid and having Hangman Page as your
Can you imagine?
School teacher?
Can you imagine you get to junior high and realize
he's just kicking back,
is this
cracking
the guy?
doors open?
Yeah. All right. So next we've got this women's match. Hikaru Shida, Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue versus Athena, Mercedes Martinez, and Diamante.
Yeah, it was all right. It was okay. I mean, it was like the pre-show. The pre-show was on a different level than the main show. The pre-show, it was just get Sky Blue out there, all decked out in Chicago. It's like they took all the leftover stars from Punk's little wardrobe kit that the people had, and they're like, just sew everything we have onto
covered them
Sky Blue's outfit.
That's
she
great.
She was Chicago from head to toe.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, so she had a hit her code blue, and it was not a very good version of it. But I think Diamante, I think it was Diamante was not quite ready. It was more of a sunset flip kind of thing.
Now I really hate that I missed this. Acclaimed and Billy Gunn with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah,
beat Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh.
Yeah.
So Rodman wasn't in the ring; he was on the outside.
Well, he got into the ring.
Okay.
Rodman. I don't want to make accusations. I'm not sure Rodman was fully present.
That makes sense. That's fair.
He seemed very uninterested in everything. And
I think Dennis Rodman was a very last minute purchase this week.
I think that was what can we get to sell some more tickets to Chicago natives.
I think it was what can we get to make Chicago natives not burn us to the GD ground
right quick.
The first second of Collision.
We ran out of stars to put on Sky Blue's costume. Call Rodman.
Oh, they needed him for Collision for sure. I really was excited when I heard he was going to be there. And let's see. Andy Bowen says Rodman looked wholly baked.
He did. That was a good way to put it.
I have a feeling that is correct.
So he gets into the ring. They do a spot where like Aubrey's supposed to be distracted arguing with Karen Jarrett. And Rodman gets in the ring. Dennis Rodman, who's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Gets in the ring next to Aubrey Edwards, and Aubrey has to pretend that she didn't see him do it. He picks up the guitar, nails Satnam with the guitar, and then just stands there in the ring holding the guitar. Aubrey looks at him and just has this look on her face like, well, I guess I have to ignore that. So she's like, hey, what? And Billy Gunn walks over to Rodman and just says, you got to get out of the ring. We need you out of the ring. And Rodman just keeps
you could hear
standing there. You could you could more just tell by his body language, but I heard some people that were there.
You got to go.
Yeah, trying to get him like, hey, you did your thing, get out. And he just wouldn't get out. So he stood there in the ring for the rest of the match, which was only about another 30 seconds. But so Aubrey just had to sort of be like, okay, well, it was bad. It was bad.
Oh,
but
man.
if you like that kind of stuff, really awkward celebrity appearances and matches, then I would recommend it.
Okay. I was a little disappointed with the usage of Dennis Rodman, but I expected to be because I knew it was very last minute. I knew it had to do with the Punk situation. As a lifetime member of the NWO, I was hoping he would join Bullet Club. I was really hoping they would somehow get him to join Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he did not. And now we get to the first match of the actual pay-per-view. What was it, Kevin?
Let's see. Adam Cole and MJF. Silver and Reynolds.
I mean, no matter how many times they do it, I remain shocked that they put their most they always put a big match first and a big match last. And Adam Cole and MJF are the hottest thing going. They're the pair that popped bigger ratings than CM Punk on Collision recently. I didn't expect this to be first. So I missed the initial. Again, I was 5 minutes late on this pay-per-view. I came in and MJF was already hurt. And I believe it was you put in the notes here, it was Alex Reynolds hit him with a chair. Alex Reynolds, who is bulked up, by the way.
Yeah, and tanned.
Oh my God.
Well tanned.
Vascular, young. Yeah. Oh my God. He's looking
MJF
good.
Spent the week in France, and Alex Reynolds spent it on Sea-Doos with the Outrunners. Yeah, MJF he was selling his neck from the show from last week. And then so he was kind of outside, like kind of selling like his neck was still hurting from the week before.
Right.
And Reynolds came up behind him and just nailed him like with the edge of a chair in the neck. And then they did a whole thing where the Doc Samson came out and they took him out of the match and all that stuff. And the crowd got into it. I mean, the crowd immediately started chanting for Adam Cole. He was fighting him off 1-on-2. I mean, it was like total by the numbers, elementary pro wrestling stuff. But like MJF right now there's no one better at doing elementary pro wrestling stuff than MJF.
Well, you again in your notes here, you've said it perfectly. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands.
Oh, absolutely.
And they continue to. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter if it's serious. It doesn't matter if it's comedy. Everyone is with them every second of the way.
Yeah.
We got a kangaroo kick. We got a double clothesline. By the way, everyone watching, Twan Mack, Andy Bowen, Sam Shipman, everyone else, let us know in the comments right now what was your favorite match of the night. I would love to know that. And you know what? Let's do best match and your favorite, and let us know if it's the same thing. All right, where were we on this one?
So yeah, they went when MJF bows up for that kangaroo kick. I just get giddy. It's hilarious.
You just want to giggle, honestly. Yeah. You do.
So this was great though. When he after the match, the medical crew is helping MJF back out of the ring, and as they're going up the ramp, Samoa Joe's music hits.
Mm-hmm.
And Samoa Joe walks out and just pushes MJF out of the way.
An injured MJF at that.
Recreating the famous GIF or GIF, if you prefer, of Samoa Joe coming out to the ring where young MJF, no-name MJF, was his security guy and dared to step equaled or in front of him in stride. And Joe pushed him against the wall. They completely called back to that, and Joe just had the best smug smile on his face after he pushed MJF. And I thought, well, that's a great callback.
Yeah. And Adam Cole ran to his side,
right?
Make sure he was okay, and I think to calm him down.
Yeah. And it was great because everyone was like, "Oh, that was awesome. Ha ha ha." But that wasn't the end. MJF runs out, goes after Joe. And this is a little bit of a controversy in the Discord of the people who were chatting about this live, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. MJF storms Joe. Joe immediately puts him in a guillotine-style headlock and holds him there until they separate them. And then MJF acts like, oh, my neck's hurt even more, right?
Right.
There were some people speculating that was a direct reference to CM Punk. Choking out Jungle Boy when Jungle Boy came at him.
Oh my God. I never even thought of that.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they would. They might. Who knows? Team Petty, I guess.
There you go. You know, I it's interesting because Samoa Joe is clearly somebody who broke up the fight, the altercation between Jungleman and Punk. But I assumed he's been Team Punk since they have this long background. They've had these matches. He's been there on Collision.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I always feel like my impression of Joe is that he's kind of beyond all that. I always get the feeling he just doesn't get caught up in that stuff.
I kind of agree with you too. I feel like he's above it. But I really did wonder for a while. So if that is in fact what they were doing, that tells me he's not necessarily a Punk guy, and he's willing to kind of have some fun with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, all the accounts that came out of the 17 accounts of the whole incident last week, there were none that did not. Like Joe came out looking great in all of them. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, when have you heard of anything where Joe didn't come out looking great?
That's true.
Let's see. Twan Max says Alex Reynolds was looking like Cowboy James Storm. I never thought I'd hear that, but I can absolutely see it with that beard now.
Yep.
Sam says Mox versus Cassidy was her favorite of the night. Hobbs and Miro exceeded expectations.
Yes.
She has to go back and watch the strap match. I need to rewatch it as well.
Yeah.
Because her dog had to go potty. So everyone's saying this was one of the matches of the night, and I very much enjoyed what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had to take care of a puppet up situation in the backyard while that was happening.
Dogs just don't respect the strap match.
They don't respect the strap. That's 100% true.
Yep.
All right, so Twan saying Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks, and that's despite hating gimmick matches.
Yeah,
right there,
I can see that.
I've got to rewatch this. I know it was good.
I'm hearing a lot of 5 stars getting thrown around.
I've heard that as well. All right, Andy Bowen says Mox versus Orange Cassidy was the best, and he thinks he enjoyed the Danielson Starks match the most. So everyone here who's replied has brought up the Danielson Starks match.
Here's the thing I'll say about this show, other than the pre-show, but the main show.
Mm-hmm.
Every single match was either met expectations or exceeded it. So,
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
I think every match was either about what you'd expect, but I think almost all of them were probably better than you would expect.
All right. Well, let's hop on to Samoa Joe. I was about to say let's jump to one of those matches, but no, let's keep going. Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor. Good match.
Yeah.
Little like a beat. Like nobody knows Shane Taylor. Very few people know Shane Taylor, but I think everybody will agree it was a fun match.
It was fun. Yeah. Great. Joe looked great. Joe coming off that angle going into that match was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
People just love Joe, man.
It was real. I think it was very smart to enter the match with that angle because they know this is the match with the least star power, as in it's all on one side.
Right.
And then it's got everybody thinking about that. While they're thinking about a title match between MJF and Samoa Joe, which is one of the most exciting things I can think of right now in wrestling. While Samoa Joe is having a very good match with Shane Taylor. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, and he came out of it like that was a total match you do for someone who's about to go for the world title.
Yeah.
And like I said, they should do it at Shea Stadium.
All right, our next match, Shea Stadium. I think they should do it at Arthur Ashe as well.
Maybe Arthur Ashe instead.
Maybe for round 2.
Maybe Arthur Ashe instead.
For the rematch, Yeah. All right, next up we have Luchasaurus took on Darby Allin. What did you think of this one, Kevin?
Oh, my gosh. I was not interested in this, and I assumed that Darby would be winning. So
and they turned you around, didn't they?
They did. Luchasaurus showed out. Couldn't believe it.
I'm curious, how much of that do you think is Luchasaurus? How much do you think was Darby?
Oh, 75% Darby.
All right.
At least, yeah.
Talk about a pillar. When he's coming in and giving champions the best match they've maybe ever had in AEW, which means his best match ever, potentially. Let's see. Christian threatened a concerto on Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
I really did think Darby was going to win this too. Really thought he was.
I was worried that he was going to lose because Nick Wayne was going to turn on him, and I would have been so upset if that had happened.
Oh, they can't do that. I would have quit this show immediately. I'd be like, I'm not going to be there this weekend. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been bad. No, I think it'll be good.
Now,
I think Darby, like you said, he's a pillar, and I was thinking like, okay, Punk is not the anchor of Collision,
right?
And they have very few guys who I would call anchors, like people who can be the quote like the main character of a show.
Yeah,
not necessarily the ace or the world champion, but like who's the person the show is going to kind of revolve around. I think Darby's one of those guys. I think Darby could be the Collision guy. Sounds like he's going to take a little bit of time off, but
that's never going to. When he takes time off, he's going to just completely retire. But he's probably about to take time off. Now, did this not end in the entire face locker room running out to save Darby from being murdered?
The Job Squad, the
Job Squad.
Yeah, they all saved him.
There were 5-star wrestlers in that ring, Kevin. At the very least, Trent Beretta.
Sean Spears.
I love that he was in gear as if he was going to do something.
Right. Well, he was in the Battle Royal. He was in the Battle Royal.
Okay. I did miss
just
that.
Hadn't
so that's on me.
Yet.
All right. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Sam, I think we all agree with you on Shane Taylor being underrated. We saw that tonight.
Yeah.
Twan has a great question here. He has a great question. I think we can skip ahead a little bit for.
Okay.
I'm so confused on what Bryan Danielson is. He's a face for fighting in honor of Ricky Steamboat, but he's celebrating with Max, a heel, and Blackpool Combat Club at the end of the night. I was wondering that. I was wondering when he was getting the cheers and he's high-fiving everybody, but he made a face afterwards. Like, he made a face like he was letting people know, like, there's something going on.
Here's the thing.
But he's still a bad guy. He's still Blackpool.
I added it up. So he's been in AEW for exactly 2 years now.
Okay.
He debuted at All Out 2 years ago.
Okay.
He has done 5 turns in 2 years.
Well,
now,
he needs to even it out and do a 6th.
Yeah, I think if you were to ask him, he would probably say, I've been a heel the whole time.
Early on, there was talk about that. There was talk, is he actually a heel right now while everybody assumes he's a face?
Right. I think in his mind, he's being completely consistent. Bryan Danielson will fight anybody. And Blackpool is they're bad guys, but they're not like devious bad guys. They're come at you. They're like honest bad guys, you know?
They'll murder you.
Right.
But you're going to know it's coming.
Right. They're going to tell you what's going to happen. That's what
and really, that's on you for not coming to the ring with 5 extra people.
Right.
That's really on you.
Yeah.
Okay, next match. Miro versus Hobbs.
The meat match.
This
is when I felt the weight lift off of this company. This was the match where it felt like the dark cloud that this company's been living under for a week just lifted and cleared away, and a bright sunshine, beams of sunlight filled everyone's souls as the spirit of Big E came upon them, and they cheered for meaty men slapping meat.
Yes, they did. And now let's just jump ahead to the end.
Yeah.
Miro won. Hobbs started beating him down, and he was saved by his own wife.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to say she pulled a straight-up Jeff Hardy to begin this.
She did.
She did her entire pose at the top of the ramp before she ran down with a chair.
Yeah.
Saved Miro. He then got the chair as Will Hobbs is about to do unspeakable things to this poor woman.
Right.
And but then he seemed very unhappy. Not a happy man.
No.
You have a take on it that I didn't even think of. What's your take on what happened between Miro and his wife?
I think he's like that lady who freaked out in the airplane. That mother effer is not real.
Do you think he's been away from her for so long, pursuing a fight with God?
Yeah.
He didn't even know who she was anymore.
I think he said, "You're not real."
I hope
I may have imagined that. See,
Puppet Up believes
Puppet Up is attuned to things in the spirit world.
Yeah, she's not real. Puppet Up's mother's ghost is apparently following me, just so you're aware.
To the new place.
Yeah, to the old place, to the new place. Apparently, she's everywhere because anytime anyone comes over, they feel a dog pressing their paws into their back.
Yeah.
And they're like, reach back and they're like, where'd Puppet Up go? I'm like, she's been outside the whole time. Yeah. So let's see. Now
the thing
I thought there was I didn't hear him say that, but I didn't have the volume that loud and I can't hear for shit. I thought he was upset that she saved him. That a
like
woman or his
pride.
wife, it wounded his pride that she saved him. That was my take. But I would much prefer it to be like, you're not real. I'd much prefer that because I still want to know. I still want to know what the lady on the flight saw because nobody's asking her that question. Nobody's asking her that question.
No, they don't want to know.
No, somebody did. Somebody asked, and she said she's not allowed to talk about it.
Now, this was the one where it was like, I think they didn't know what they were getting into when they did this match, because there's no way they knew this match was going to get as over as it did. People were so into this match. And at the end, when Hobbs offered his hand in a handshake and Miro took it and they shook hands.
Yeah.
The number of Predator GIFs of Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger
Carl Weathers and Arnold,
shaking hands. That thing fired off around the world like crazy. I think there were 2 people that posted in the Discord. It was a great moment, and it was like, if you had ended it there, this crowd would have been so happy. I think they were happy to see Lana, or CJ, or whatever they're going to call her. They only called her Miro's wife tonight.
I believe she's going to be CJ. By the way, I really hope, I would like to believe that the Carl Weathers School of Dramatics, that's the entire first semester, is mastering the handshake with a close-up. That's the whole thing. That's before he teaches you about soups. If you don't watch Arrested Development, you have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm really excited about CJ for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think she will make a very good character on AEW, and I've been wanting them to bring her in for a while. Number two, it probably means Miro isn't going anywhere, and Miro is going to be on TV for the foreseeable future. And that's something I'm excited about.
It at least shows that they are trying to demonstrate to him that they want him to stay.
Absolutely. Because for the however many years we've had Miro, he's wrestled for like 3 months of it. He's been on TV for like 3 months of it. And so I'm ready for things to start happening with him. It feels like he's only feuded with like 3 people ever. Right. And I'm ready for things to happen. So excited about that.
I look forward to the mixed tag match between Miro and CJ Perry against Hobbs and Harley Cameron.
Oh my God, let's go for that. I'm down. I'm down. All right, this next match, Kris Statlander versus Ruby Soho.
Yeah.
Before we even get into the match, I want to talk about, there were 2 complaints I've been having.
Okay.
2, Kevin. Number 1, they brought Kris Statlander back with no color. No color in her image, on her gear, in her hair. They've brought back the green. I think she needed it. Looked way better. They gave her a little bit of color. And my other complaint, they completely removed her from Best Friends. Nowhere did you see her with Best Friends until tonight. When she walked out with Orange Cassidy. I really, truly believe they fixed the 2 issues that they have had lately that I think robbed some of the persona from Kris Statlander, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's like she's just a goofy girl. And I mean I mean that as a good thing.
Yes.
And so it's like, stop trying to pretend she's not. So her coming out in a Zoolander outfit, which I didn't even pick up on until I saw someone point it out. But her doing the Zoolander thing, I mean, it's just like, she's like that. But then when she gets in the ring, that fits with the Best Friends characters. That they're all goofy people.
Yes.
But they all can throw down.
That's exactly right. They're all 5-star wrestlers as far as I'm concerned, even if it can only right now be Trent and the Kentucky gentleman whose name I forget, even though he's a 5-star wrestler. Chuck Taylor. By the way, best follow on Twitter, Chuck Taylor. This was a good match. I thought I enjoyed it. Kris looked great. But then Saraya and Tony got going and became major parts of this match.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good match.
It was a very good match. It was a very good match. I don't mean to understate anything.
It was the best version of that match. And and I thought Saraya was great, just being crazy outside the ring, just deranged, and she was fun. And then Tony Storm coming out from under the ring in her silk robe. I don't know what they're doing with her, but I love it.
By the way, I am such a simple-minded man. I was just like, man, they did a great job of keeping like dirt and webs off of her silk robe underneath the ring.
Yeah.
But they did do an excellent job of that. So Kris Statlander ends up winning. Ruby Soho, 13 years, no gold, no title belt anywhere, anytime, apparently.
Ugh.
And
Tony
ends up running off. Tony, I wondered. They actually had me wondering. Tony ends up running off. Yeah. Saraya goes in pursuit, leaving poor Ruby Soho all alone.
Yep.
In her loss at the very end.
Yeah. I thought for sure. Well, I didn't think for sure. I thought that they might do Ruby winning, so that Ruby and Saraya have titles, and Tony just is like she just can't even. Just won't have it.
That's legitimately why I thought this is 50-50, maybe 60-40 towards Ruby. Mm-hmm. By the way, if anybody's wondering, I'm drinking a Diet Coke, I'm drinking a water, and I'm drinking a 5-hour energy here because I turned off my air before this show to make sure it stayed relatively silent. And let me tell you, yet again, huge mistake. Huge
Did we not
mistake.
Learn from last week?
We did not even remotely learn from last. I did not, at least. But it says it's 72 outside, and I think it's lying to me, Kevin. All right. Where are we going next?
It's 72. All right.
I think we got Ricky next.
Match. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I love that they're using him.
I love it.
He's my second favorite wrestler of all time.
And we got some action out of him.
Yeah. I got super excited
some action.
when he reared back, gave him that chop, gave him the knife edge chop to the forehead.
Listen, he gave Big Bill the what
he
for?
He chopped down Big Bill like a giant redwood.
That's right. And then things were about to go horribly wrong.
Uh-oh.
But I don't even think we should talk about this until we get ROH historian Paul Fontaine here on the call. There we go. How are you doing tonight, Paul?
Oh my God, I'm doing great.
This was a great show, wasn't it?
This might have been like the best in-ring show they've ever done.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah, immediacy and everything. But
okay, before we
started talking about the strap match.
We just started talking about the strap match.
Oh, so I missed the meaty men.
Oh, we can go back to the
no,
match.
it's fine.
You can talk about all the meat you need to.
When I saw that match, I thought, man, nobody's gonna be able to follow this, and I may have saw 4 matches that were better.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know before we get moving on this, Paul, what was your favorite match of the night, and what do you think was the best match of the night?
Well, my favorite match was probably the Miro and Hobbs, but I think the best match was Omega and Takeshita.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, to say that, I can't take away from the strap match or the 8-man tag, which was great, and the main event was incredible. I actually want to write. I haven't written in a long time, and I'm inspired to write because I think this was. It was a really important night for AEW.
Yeah.
And I think they found themselves again. I
was saying at the beginning of the show, this felt like an old school AEW pay-per-view.
5 incredible matches, and not to take anything away from any of the other ones, but all completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Not even
in
close
the right
to the
order.
Same. Yeah, but although I could say if you put them in a different order, I'm actually, you know what, you might be right. Now that you say it. And the funny thing was, I thought, man, those poor women, they went out there and they had to follow Miro and Hobbs, and they killed it too.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the best matches of the nights, but it was they did great.
Yeah.
It was a very good match.
Yeah, and even and I didn't, even the men's tag was, it was great, but it just it wasn't what the rest of them were. But I don't want to take anything away from anybody. Even a match like Joe and Taylor, which may have been the worst match on the main card, but it was still really,
it was
really
a good
awesome
match. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I did when I
And
finished
I think
watching
you're right.
it. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think it's probably the worst on the card, but a very good match.
yeah. But I mean, they only got whatever it was, 5 or 6 minutes, but
Right.
they made
That's
the most of that time, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. And then that, oh my God, Miro and Hobbs. And then so now you're talking about the strap match, and
We just got to the strap match, but
we
haven't
haven't said a
We're
word
bouncing
about it
around.
yet.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, talk about it.
We were just talking about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is Kevin's second favorite wrestler of all time, just
Of all
after
time.
Ricky Starks. And how we actually got to see some action out of him with Big Bill, which I didn't think we were going to get, and I really enjoyed that brief second, a few minutes, maybe a few seconds of physicality out of the
just
Dragon.
enough. It was just enough for him to get away without it being undermining to Bill.
Yeah,
Like he got a couple of shots in, and then I think Danielson took him out, or I can't remember exactly what happened, but like they did it really well.
Ricky ended up getting thrown onto him, so he couldn't choke
Yes,
slam.
that's right.
He couldn't end up choke slamming Ricky the Dragon.
Yeah. I mean this. I mean, I don't know whether to feel great or awful for Ricky Starks, because you could tell on Collision he took the Punk thing hard, and I don't know if that means because he's like quote Team Punk or whatever, but clearly Punk was investing in him. He was somebody who was being elevated on Collision. He was someone that did have the rug pulled out from under him of the match that he was supposed to have on the pay-per-view, and probably was really emotional about it. And they brought in Bryan Danielson, which I think is great upgrade. Like it was a great way to do it. But it was almost like Bryan Danielson was like, "Oh, so you want to do a strap match, huh?" Because those guys did not. I mean, there was a certain point where it stopped being receipts, and they were just like auditing their taxes. There were so many receipts. Like they just decided this is a real.
But I thought this match did more to elevate Ricky Starks than anything that's been done to date.
Anything that Punk would have done, anything that Jericho did,
anything MJF did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Both
and Danielson won, which I'm sure he probably didn't want to. But he had to, based on the fact that it was that it was he was fighting for the baby face.
Right.
And someone in the chat asked about what Bryan is. And I kind of like the idea of the American Dragon as the baby face and Bryan Danielson as the heel in the Blackpool Combat Club. I would love it if he had
depends
like
on
that.
what music he's playing.
Yeah, change his hair up a bit. Maybe
I
and
like
the
that,
music.
Paul. I really like that.
Yeah, Final Countdown plays. Oh, we're getting the baby face.
Yeah.
And again, he was high-fiving people ringside as if he's a baby face.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, he was a heel again.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which, hey, it's cool.
Maybe you're not a full heel until you're completely outfitted by Claudio Castagnoli.
That's true. He just got the one jacket. He's been wearing that, so it's okay. He hasn't gone all the way. But I will say, like the end of that match, it did sink in. So I said Ricky Steamboat's my second favorite wrestler of all time. My favorite wrestler of all time is Bryan Danielson. Wow. And so to see the two of them at the top of the ramp after that match was pretty cool for young and old me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I've heard a lot of people guess 5 stars. I've heard people go over 5 stars in this match.
Ooh,
I went 5.
You went 5.
Okay,
yeah,
I could do that.
I went 5 1/4 for the Omega match, but
okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel
I could see that?
Like this is where the pay-per-view really started to take off? Like it was it was solid until now, but this is when it got kicked into high gear.
Yeah, kind of. It's funny because I was watching on a delay, and
which was hilarious. In the Discord.
And people were like, "Just wait." Like at the end of Hobbs and Miro, I was like, "Oh my god," and I was expecting a lot from that match. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I wasn't expecting what I saw, and I still want them tagging up. If they're not Meat Machine,
right.
Oh my god, just
with the
big
hot,
meaty men
legs.
slapping meat.
Yeah.
That's right. The hot, flexible wife.
I
completely forgot about that.
I screamed when that graphic came
When
on
that
the,
thing-
because I knew it was coming. And
oh my God.
yeah.
Oh, you knew it was. You
When it
knew
happened,
it
I
was,
thought it was Harley
coming, or she
Cameron.
was coming. Really?
Oh, that would, they could add her too, like with
Yeah, we were
Hobbs.
saying like a mixed tag would be awful and wonderful.
Yeah, and then just tag him up eventually once Miro figures out that she's real.
Right.
Oh, so
Miro,
did he say that? Did he say that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're not
I didn't
real.
catch that.
You're not real.
I'm the only one that didn't catch that.
Oh
I think.
yeah.
I wasn't sure if that's what he was
I had
saying.
my audio
It's
low.
awesome. Yeah, because he thought she left him.
Oh my God, that's
I love
amazing.
it. We need a video on a plane.
Yeah.
With Miro flying home, and she's there, and he can't believe it.
They're flying home together, and he just cannot believe
he's got to get off the plane.
They have to do that. Like, please do that. Come on. Okay, our next match.
You
Eddie
missed a lot of this one, didn't you, James?
I missed a lot of this one, but what I saw, I absolutely adored. Eddie Kingston Shibata versus Claudio and Yuta. I loved watching Claudio working with Shibata. I thought they had incredible chemistry. The European uppercuts on the outside. I loved so much about this, and I want to see a lot more. I did not see the Claudio sucks egg shirt.
That was
didn't
great
see that.
because it was very accurate. Like it looked like the real shirt. And there was speaking of the Discord, there was quite a discussion that eventually we had to just say, well, we need to start watching the match because there was a bit of a discussion about the source of what does it mean to be an egg-sucking dog? Like, where did that phrase come from? And there's surprisingly a few different etymologies.
Etymologies. Yes.
Yeah, because my grandfather used to say that, like an egg-sucking dog.
Yeah.
It's like a thing. It's a dog that eats eggs. But
where's your grandfather from? Texas?
He's from Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's a southern thing for sure.
Yeah, he had a farm.
There's also another. I'm assuming it was born out of that one, the southern phrase. I'll edit this for Twitter X. A poop eating dog.
Oh, okay.
That is also a version of that, I believe.
There's a Johnny Cash song called Egg Sucking Dog from 1966 where he's talking about a dog eating all his chickens.
I bet that's it. I guarantee that's it. Because the thing is, it's a pejorative, and I know many people with chickens, and the dogs will break in and they'll kill the chickens.
You can't turn your back on them because they're going to eat your eggs.
That's exactly right. That's a bad dog. Is what that is.
My favorite spot in this match, and I was kind of bored through most of it, or maybe just coming down from the strap match or whatever. But my favorite spot in the match, other than the finish, was when Shibata had a double submission on. He had the Indian Deathlock on Wheeler, and he had a heel hook on Claudio.
Right.
Claudio escapes the heel hook by knocking Shibata backwards, which makes the pain on the Indian Deathlock even worse for Wheeler. and Claudio doesn't give two shits.
Doesn't care.
No,
Claudio abusing Yuta is my new favorite Loki story.
It was so awesome, and Wheeler's screaming in pain. And
I thought for a second he was gonna
submit.
I thought for a second he was actually gonna pop back up.
Yeah.
And Claudio was gonna hit him again, but this time when he falls back, he goes into a Moodalock.
Oh gosh, yeah, that would have been great. But yeah, that was. I mean, honestly, that could have been the finish. I mean, it was too early, but it would have been hilarious. And then just the disdain that Claudio has for Eddie is just like when they finally meet in a singles match. I would have liked to have seen it here, but when we get there, it'll be great.
They've done a really good job. I mean, this feud has been going on 14 months, 15 months.
At least
because when Claudio came in, they started it at like Forbidden Door. Like, I mean, when
wasn't it Double or Nothing last year?
No, because Claudio came in June for Forbidden Door.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Or when Danielson was hurt.
Yeah.
And pretty much from the get-go, they did the Claudio and Eddie feud. So they've been simmering this thing for a long time, and they've only had one singles match.
Did they even have one? I don't even.
They had it in ROH.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, yeah. The Final Battle last year.
Yeah, they had Final Battle last year, and so they'll probably do it again this year. I'd love to see it at Arthur Ashe.
Yeah.
Not Shea Stadium.
Or they could do it at the Wrestle Dream and have maybe Eddie defending his strong title, and then you could do a rematch for the ROH title.
Oh yeah,
Claudio this year's Final Battle.
Yeah.
Paul, what's the background on the Wrestle Dream name?
Well, I think it's like kind of new, but it's a takeoff of Dream Slam.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, which was a women's wrestling show that was All Japan's women's wrestling, which up until probably the last couple of years, a lot of people thought was the best like pay-per-view, or I guess it wasn't even a pay-per-view, but big show ever. All women in 1993.
Do you think they're gonna do a focus on women in this, even if it's not completely women? No, they're just
no. Tony can only do one women's match in a show. It's a rule.
That's true. That's true.
I would love to be wrong.
Yeah, I would love to be wrong.
Yeah, but I mean,
and there's not going to be that many New Japan stars available, right?
No, but some good ones.
But some like
Will
Ospreay.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb, Bishamon. Yeah, I think all of TMDK. So you could get Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. on that show.
Yeah. Now there was a Wrestle Dream show. I had to look it up. There was a show called Wrestle Dream that was an SWS and WWF co-promotion in 1991.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah,
that was the show with Yoshiaki Yatsu, the sumo guy, and Hulk Hogan.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at the results right now. Tenryu and Randy Savage.
Yeah.
George Takano and Bret Hart.
Sounds awesome.
This is a great show.
Kind of, yeah. Minoru Suzuki was on the show. I wrestled Apollo Sugawara.
Am I the only one here that genuinely despises the name Wrestle Dream? Is it just me?
I don't despise it, but I don't love it.
I don't like it.
It feels like if it was
strong.
If it was a Japanese show, I wouldn't think anything of it because the way that they use English words always.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
But for Tony to name it that, it is a little weird.
I just the only thing I don't like is monthly pay-per-views, but I'll get used to it. If they're all as good as this one, take my money.
Maybe
some more Patreon subscribers for me to continue with that.
Maybe we'll just
go come on, you do the fight game. You do the Fight Plus gimmick. We all know that.
It's still gonna add up though. It's still gonna add up.
Maybe we just make Maki Ito the host of the entire thing and just go all in on the Japanese.
I watched a Maki Ito match today.
How was it? I wanted to watch that.
It was good. It was good. It was fun. It was entertaining with Ali Catch.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Please do.
I will.
I'd love to check this out. Okay. Back to the match. Eddie Kingston Shibata ended up taking this one. We're all looking forward, of course, to Eddie and Claudio.
Claudio
won.
Claudio
he knocked Eddie out with an uppercut.
Yeah.
My bad.
Beat him.
Yeah,
clean.
which was awesome. Incredible.
Have it wrong in the notes here.
Oh,
I loved oh, I did. Yeah, sorry about that. I did write it down wrong.
I missed most of this.
I love that I like that you took the responsibility for it, even though Kevin screwed up. That's good
how it
co-host,
works.
James.
That's how it works. We look out for each other.
Then I threw Kevin under the bus.
I liked Nigel saying that no man has ever lost to a European uppercut before, which I'm pretty sure Claudio's beaten like 3 or 4 guys.
Probably Nigel. Nigel.
Right? He just forgot it.
Yeah.
Because he was knocked out.
Yeah.
By the uppercut, exactly.
But I love that he's establishing new finishers. That now every time he hits that, we might think it's a finish.
That's right.
It's great.
I love that move so much. I want that to be knocking people out 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel, have we not seen him land that on Orange Cassidy and Orange came like out of his shoes? Or is that just something I want to happen?
I think there was one time where he was like midair and he hit him with it and he went even higher. Like,
oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many things they can do with that.
Yeah,
He's basically a superhero.
that might have been Darby.
All right.
One of those two.
So next up, we have Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega in a phenomenal match.
It's like a G1
I
fight.
had some small problems, but it was phenomenal.
It was everything. It was way more than I thought it would be. Let's put it that way. I thought they would hold back a lot more because I think Kenny's one of those guys who's like, this is just match one. Let's take it easy. Like, let's not give him everything. And they did a lot. And this was, I think this is the match Omega's had in his mind since Takeshita signed, of like, one day we're going to get to this match and this is what I'm going to do for you.
The Avalanche Thunder Bomb was so great.
They may have saved stuff. That's what's scary. Like, I think it could get better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, but I'm here for it.
I love that it was a clean finish.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that they did the screwdriver, but it played no part in it at all.
Did either of you think Takeshita was going to win this going in?
I did.
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But during the match, I was thinking Omega was going to win.
Yeah, like, that's true. I mean,
as I'm watching it,
they're so good at making you. Yeah.
As I was watching it, I couldn't tell who was going to win. Going in, I thought they have to. Going in, I thought there's no way Omega lets himself lose this match.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is to establish Takeshita at that level, and I think they did. I mean,
they definitely did that.
I used to joke about Takeshita being like the Golden Lover's child. Like he's like if Kenny and Kota made a baby, it would be Takeshita. But like,
listen, he's got a lot of storylines.
He's got some young Barry Windham in there too. It's like you put Omega into the body of a young Barry Windham. He's just got that long stride, and I mean, it was like the story of that match being this guy can do everything he can do, everything you can do, but he's bigger and stronger and younger.
There's a little Shibata in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of the Japanese guys, like even some of the juniors, like just some of the way he moves,
mm-hmm.
like he moves like a junior, but he hits like a heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's there was a spot like 2 or 3 minutes into the match where he hit him with that
high angle back suplex.
Yeah, like Saito
suplex,
took on,
right?
Like
his ear.
I thought he landed right on his head.
Yeah.
And then he was like selling it for a couple minutes after that. Like even when he was on offense, he was like woozy and stuff. And I was like, oh man, I hope he didn't hurt himself. And
he even did a little bit of the twitch that supposedly was banned.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, he clearly got approval.
Well, you must have had approval.
Approval's not necessary anymore, maybe.
Well, or for Kenny, like even Tony said at the time, he said, a guy like Kenny wants to do something, we're going to let him do it.
Right.
But yeah, just incredible. And I think the fact that the screwdriver led to a finish before made it more effective here when it didn't.
Yeah.
Because when you saw it, you thought in your mind, oh, he's going to use it, and that's how he's going to get the win. Yeah. Going in, you thought, okay, Takeshi's going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, here's how.
Yeah.
And then he loses the screwdriver, and you thought, oh man, maybe Kenny's going to win.
Right.
And then he ended up winning clean, which was
they do such a good job of using the screwdriver as a red herring. And
mm-hmm.
the way that they drive that thing, like Sharon Stone and Basic Instinct, like I mean, when they drive it into the pad or the mat or whatever, it's like. And so then when he picks it up and he rears back with it, you think, oh my gosh, he's gonna poke his eye out. Yeah.
Who was the referee for this one?
I think it was Paul Turner.
I love the idea that in this world, if Kenny's reflexes hadn't been quite that fast, Paul Turner would have turned around and seen Kenny Omega with a screwdriver buried in his forehead and just thought, I've got to count. Like, I don't know what happened. I got to count.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
He might have tripped into it.
Oh, we got Larry
Aubrey. Like Aubrey on the pre-show when Rodman's there with the broken chair in his hand, and she turns around and he's like, I don't know.
No, and she's like, well, I guess my credibility's shot already.
No, but at least the announcer sold out. Like they're not getting a call from her after their history, so that actually worked.
Yeah.
So Larry is reporting a chaosless press conference for the first time in a long time.
I wonder if they sent that security out there just to screw with people.
Just to get his coffee order.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last words on Takeshita Kenny before we move on to our next match?
What do you do next? A rematch? Like, where do you go next?
I think Callis needs to add some people to his family, probably, and maybe do like a tag match or a 6-man. Kenny gets a pin there, and then they do a rematch.
When's the last time Kenny won a singles match?
Been a minute.
Yeah. I mean, like on pay-per-view or TV?
Any?
Well, definitely paper. I mean,
because he would have probably won something on TV,
Yeah.
leading up to something. So a singles match, he beat Wheeler on Dynamite in July, so 2 months ago.
Yeah, he beat
Commander
and
Commander. That doesn't count as a win.
Well, yeah, no,
that's not.
Jeff Cobb in March.
That's a big one.
But that's the last one before the Wheeler match.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
Interesting tonight. So BCC went 3-0, and the Elite went. Well, I guess Hangman won the Battle Royal, but the Elite on the main show went 0-2.
Y'all, this is shocking to me. I want to know what your predictions were for pay-per-view buys for this show. Larry Sternson says they did over 100,000 buys.
I figured it would be right around 100, which is one of the lower ones they've ever done.
Right.
What was Allin's number?
170-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and they've been averaging around 135, 140. So
this wasn't that low. They've lost, but it's like that's still triple digits is
it's
great.
It's still what they would do on 2 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like if they're averaging 135, so that's 270 2 shows.
The two.
Yeah. So
my prediction was 40 people were going to buy this. 40.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Apparently, a lot of AEW people out there do it very fine financially.
Yeah, or they just have very limited habits.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll say this: every year I've gone to WrestleMania, I'm like, I know most of these people don't make a lot of money, like the people I personally know, but they save up all year to go all out at Mania and spend a lot of money, bring a lot of money to these towns. And I think this is probably a very similar situation.
Yeah. Yeah, Larry has a good point about the options to buy international for those who have the means. But yeah, if I was able to get a hold of the
Fight
bundle.
TV package bundle.
Yeah, it's 4 pay-per-views for like $75.
I need to look into that. I keep saying that on this show. I've not yet looked into it. I've not.
He's been trying to get Paul on it for weeks.
It's happening. Like I already did the Fire Stick. I'm just waiting. When it gets here, he's going to walk me through how to do it. I was just looking at the to see what the cage match ratings were for tonight, and it's still early. There's only 10 votes, but it's 20th of all time on their shows. But again, it's only 10 votes, and most of them have in the hundreds. So we'll see.
The number's going to grow.
But it was a really good show.
It was. And that's what's so, I mean, we knew it. We joked about it beforehand, like how the build is non-existent, how they get down to the wire with almost no matches. And, there's almost no talk about Kenny and Takeshita and, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And then you turn into the show, and the show's awesome.
Do you believe the two of you, I'm sorry for interrupting you there, Paul, that the wrestlers on this show felt they needed to prove something
100%
for AEW?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
I really feel that way.
Yeah. And not only that, but I think they all see an opportunity for a top spot.
Yep.
And people, and not just a top spot, but like if one person moves up, then that opens up a spot for somebody else. And everyone's jockeying for position, but they're also working as a team.
Yeah.
Which probably hasn't been the case for the last 2 years or so.
Which is actually a good setup for the next match.
Yeah. I did want to say I want to give props to Brad Ryder, who a good friend, Patreon
Yeah.
subscriber, he made a comment on, I want to say it was Monday, might have been Thursday. He said, I look forward to next Monday when everyone's talking about how this is the greatest show they've ever seen, after shitting on the build and saying how terrible the card was going in.
Right.
100%. He nailed it.
He totally nailed it.
Yeah.
And he reminded everyone after the show was over.
Yeah.
My response was that we don't have a single match for Grand Slam yet.
That's 2.5 weeks away, and actually we do. MJF's defending his world title
against somebody, but we don't know who.
Hopefully Joe.
Hopefully Joe.
But I think Joe's going to be at Wrestle Dream. But
I greatly respect Brad making sure to point out how right he was after this.
Yeah, and I told him I'm still going to say it was shitty just to piss him off.
It'll be crappy the next time. We'll all do the same thing.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Okay, so next match, Bullet Club Gold, FTR and the Young Bucks, who the night before, I believe, were doing victory laps in this very arena.
Literal victory laps.
Oh, it's so great.
Can't leave it alone. Just can't leave it alone.
I love I feel like that worked. I feel like there was a reason. Not only do they want to get that heat, but I would want to get that out of Chicago's system the night before.
Yeah.
And I feel like they well, not for them, but for AEW in general, I feel like they did, but they basically brought the heat on themselves.
Yes, 100%. I was just going to say that.
That's it. Yeah. And they did a great job of that.
They did. And it made for a really fun atmosphere for this match. And I don't know when they decided to do an 8-man and put FTR and the Bucks on the same side, but it was such an interesting, I don't know, like if there was like a corporate coach telling them like, okay, now you're going to team together and you're going to have to, seeing FTR and the Bucks do these elaborate 4-way spots with like the, trading off, I'll do this. Pump it up. Nick Jackson doing the other half of the Shatter Machine, Cash Wheeler doing super kicks. The 4-way spot with they all locked in the middle.
The Power and the Glory,
yeah, the Power and the Glory thing. Even though I couldn't tell if Dax was really confused or if they all.
Well, he's like, "What are they doing?"
He's like, "What are they doing?" And they're all like, "Suplex him."
Yeah.
Like that to me is like in real life and in story, that's healthy. Mm-hmm. And putting those people together to do a really good match and collaborate creatively and have a great time doing it. I'm sure that they probably had feelings going in. I'm sure they have feelings about each other going out. Dax could not help himself but do a little look at his watch before the BTE trigger.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be a little snide stuff here and there, but like that gave me a lot of hope.
Total pros to go out there because FTR
Absolutely.
wasn't happy about what happened yesterday. But and the Young Bucks were very happy about what happened.
They were very happy.
And even Bullet Club Gold probably not, because I think Punk was big proponents of them too.
Clearly, very clearly.
But I mean, they all went out there, and I gotta say, like, I was not interested in this match going in. I thought it was stupid that the Bucks and FTR were teaming up.
Yeah.
I thought I'd rather see FTR wrestle any one of these 3 teams in a tag team title match instead. Mm-hmm. And that would have been a good match too, and maybe even been better. I don't know, but whatever, this worked really, really well. And I was like, it was kind of like that tag team match earlier, but better in that I was kind of like not feeling it at the beginning, but then I was kind of getting into how the crowd was reacting and the way the Bucks were reacting to the way the crowd was reacting. So they were changing how they were doing things to get that heat. And then when the last 10 minutes of the match where they just kicked in an overdrive, by the end, it was like an excellent match.
Yeah.
Would have been the best match on a lot of other pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Here it might have been like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
But it was great.
The crowd even stopped amusing themselves because they just got so into the match. But
there was one point, I think it was in this match, or was it in the main event? No, I think it was this one where they all just started chanting AEW. No, it was this match. I remember because I was thinking it was perfect.
That's amazing.
Because it was the first time all night they chanted that. They'd been chanting a lot of other things. This is awesome. Fight forever. Meet forever.
Awesome. I bet
this
Tony
is
Khan
me.
shed a tear back in Gorilla.
Yeah.
I bet he was literally crying.
Oh yeah,
Speaking of that, I loved the "Oh, cry me a river" chant.
yeah. Well, because someone had a sign, right?
Oh, that's so.
And
Yeah,
then,
I saw a sign.
Yeah, and then they chanted it. There's
That
a
is
smart
dope.
crowd,
8
and they had to have
wrestlers.
been mad that they had no Punk, but they did not. They did their part.
They didn't dwell on it,
No.
I should say. So 8 wrestlers in this match, 6 of which very experienced, long careers. Then you had the Guns. Did you guys think the Guns lived up to everyone else in this match?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially
That's where I was going.
And
I
Colten got the pin, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which,
But I was very impressed with them. I've been coming around about 2 weeks after they were in Bullet Club Gold. I really started coming around on them, and I really thought they held their own in this one.
Jeff Hawkins has been behind them like since the
Yeah.
empty arenas. Like,
wow.
He's
You know, what's funny is FTR. They were the champions that FTR beat, right?
Mhm.
And so they were the last champions. But because of the finish of that match, my first thought was, okay, Guns versus FTR. That'll be great. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, I've already seen that.
but yeah.
They've leveled up even just since then.
They have.
Even
They
just
have.
since then. Just being around Juice and Jay has
Well,
helped their act.
the funny thing is, I think the announcers said, "Oh, Jay and Juice are in line," or something like, or maybe they said Bullet Club Gold is in line for a tag team title. So we probably end up seeing both, I would think.
Right.
And then, of course, the Bucks are going to want a shot.
And Juice is a maniac.
He's insane. And then when he was taunting them with their, with this Shawn Michaels pose, and he's getting in the car.
Juice to me, and I don't think it was just me, was such a dud early on in AEW when he was alone.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad to see like it is working now. It's 100% working, and it's been working for a little while now in this group. And I knew they were going to figure it out, and they did, and I'm really glad to see it.
He's a perfect compliment for Jay White.
He is.
Yeah. I just remembered something, and you guys already talked about it, but I wanted to bring it up because I didn't get a chance to talk about it yet.
Okay.
Soraya at ringside in that women's match was
the theme of the night.
Insane. Like I don't know I'm not going to say what I was going to say. She was on something. Like, and maybe it's a crowd adrenaline, but
that's exactly what it was.
She added to that match.
She was great on Collision last night.
Yeah,
like there was a little promo where she was.
But she screamed. What did she say? Because this came right after the Hobbs Miro match, and at one point you hear her screaming at a fan, "Yeah, I love meat too."
Yeah, right.
I wonder if there's not even though it's of course not to hurt anybody's feelings, some of this is predetermined, but I wonder if there's a little something extra that comes with having that gold around your waist and coming off of that big moment where she's still riding that high and kind of forcing her to be literally all in. All in and more into this than maybe she was before when she'd clearly started out this angle as the main person in that group and slowly got pushed backwards. Mm-hmm. And now she's on top and she's really I'm not going to let this go. And she's really feeling herself.
I think that I think probably that, and also I think they all took that criticism seriously that the women's division was just kind of grinding to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with Tony's character change, even Ruby's kind of amped it up a little bit. I think everybody pretty much except Britt kind of got the memo of hey, let's lean into it a little more and just sort of crank the dial up on whatever you're doing.
Well, now you got all 3 members of the Outcasts kind of doing their own thing,
right?
And all kind of feuding with different people. So now instead of one storyline, you've got 3,
right?
And then not only that, you've also got stuff going on with Sky Blue and with Willow Nightingale and Athena, and so they are slowly getting there. I mean, it can't happen overnight, and the fact is, there's a lot of interesting stuff with the men going on too. So you don't really want to take away from them. So it's a difficult thing that Tony has to do, integrating all this, and it's slowly but surely coming around.
Yeah.
How long has Jade been on vacation?
Since late May.
Yeah, it was Double or Nothing.
Okay,
right?
So all summer. It feels like it feels like that would
3
mean
months.
she's going to return some point this month.
I think she wasn't she at a recent show?
She was at a what's a Culture City, the partner they do the community work with.
Okay.
She was at some events of the community stuff.
Okay.
I don't remember what city.
I guess what I'm getting at is I feel like an entire season, like 3 months, it's a pretty good vacation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they would be trying to work her back in this quarter. That's just, again, I'm pulling that out of my butt, but that's what it feels like would happen.
I had been getting worried that Jade had decided, well, that pro wrestling thing was pretty fun. What am I going to do next? And just go on to some other career.
Right.
Just saying,
because she's got a lot of money. Her husband's got a lot of money.
She doesn't need wrestling.
Yeah.
Sam's got a good point. She's seen this before where they start booking women and that falls apart, and can't argue with that.
Feels like they go through phases where they just forget entire groups of people.
One of the things we've talked about, and Sam's talked about it really well, is you can't just like say, okay, we'll do 2 matches instead of 1 or something like that, right? You have to invest and stick with it for a long time. And I don't want this to sound like a downgrade or a B plan for someone, but I honestly would start making Rampage a way more women-dominated show, because what it'll give you a chance to do is to start doing segments and matches and things like that to establish personalities and feuds and experience and things like that. And then that doesn't have the pressure that Tony, because I think Tony just has it in his head. Women just don't draw the way that I need them to, and he has rationalized it in his mind. That's not a sexist thing to say. And putting it on Rampage gives it real time on the real shows, but it takes the pressure off that to say like, okay, let's invest here, and then as they start to get momentum, we're bringing them back onto the main shows, and then they just need to follow that WD model. You just have to stick with it a long time.
I think you're right that that's what he's telling himself, but it reminds me of Dana White saying there'd never be women until he saw a legit star in Ronda Rousey. And the thing is, we've already had Britt Baker as a major star in this company for a little while, and I do believe she drew. And we clearly have the talent to get a lot more people drawing if they get the right opportunity, and you have to give it to them. You've got to, again, like Kevin just said, you got to stick with it, and someone will establish themselves as a legit draw. Just like we're seeing all this out of, look, Saraya was not doing much, and now she's on fire right now. As in, just her performance is on fire. And when just weeks ago, she didn't seem like a major part of this storyline.
You look at Orange Cassidy, and he took a belt. He won just under a year ago. He's coming up on a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And he's defended that belt like 30 times on TV and won every one. And it built him to the point where he's headlining a pay-per-view. I guarantee that if you put Athena in that same position where she was defending her women's title on TV for a year, winning 30 straight matches, by now she would be a huge star and a mover and possibly even able to headline a pay-per-view.
And the key is that it's Athena, because they did that with Jade and it didn't work because Jade just wasn't good enough and not having great matches.
And Athena is. Yeah. And I don't know why he doesn't see it, because it's on his own damn show.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and they killed it on that Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Super Card of Honor, I think. So, it's somebody brought up, that's it.
Yeah, and he's right on this. And he's 100% right.
Somebody else pointed out that Athena's got 2 strikes against her in terms of who Tony thinks can be a star, which I don't think is fair, but I think a lot of people feel that way.
What do you mean 2 strikes against her? What does that mean? Like,
what are those 2 strikes? Yeah.
Her gender and her skin color.
You don't even want to say the other thing.
But I don't agree with that. I'm just saying it's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Tony will start having the opportunity to see things now that he's not buried in CM Punk's ass.
Maybe.
I think the extraction process is going to take a while.
It'll take a little bit. Yeah. All right. What's up next? The main event: Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. My God, did I kill the flow just now? Britt has regressed a lot in the ring. Absolutely. I was so excited to see Orange Cassidy in the main event here against Moxley, and I loved this match.
Yeah, I loved the presentation of it. They did such a great job in just 2 weeks. I mean, we get onto Tony. I think we all agree Tony needs to spend more time and let his builds breathe more. Let people get excited about things that they know are going to happen. But for a 2-week, what was it? Basically 2 weeks. Basically 2 promos and some video packages cut together from those promos. And then a couple of go-homes.
To be fair, I think this was being built probably since...
it was kind of that low-key under the surface build that he does.
Because they did a spot. I think it was the show after Forbidden Door, right?
Yeah, you
where
can read the tea leaves. Like people
Moxley
have been
attacked
expecting
Orange.
This. Yeah.
Like during a match.
Right.
And we're like, what the hell is that? And then I think I've made I hope that leads to a pay-per-view match. And it did. So.
Right. I'm just talking about the since the match was announced build.
Yeah.
Official.
Well, and see, for me, like, I don't really care when the matches are announced, as long as, like, let's say a month out. Yeah, we have an idea of what the card's going to be based on the storylines. And what seems like has been happening a lot over the last year or so is even 2 weeks out, we have no idea. Like, it's not just that they're not announced. It's like we don't even have a direction.
Right.
And I hope that we can get back to that now. And actually, I think maybe monthly pay-per-views are going to help with that. In that Tony's probably going to have his little spreadsheet and have everything like, this is where I want to be in October. This is where, and instead of like October, November, December, instead of like, May, August, December, there's less time in between the big shows. So he has more time. Like he doesn't have as much time to get off on tangents. Right. And and again, like I thought, like these 2 shows back to back that he did, like going in, we were all like, "Oh man, 2 shows!" And these are 2 great shows. So, and this was a great main event.
I when I watched Takeshita and Omega, I thought, I wish this was in front of 8,000 people. With the Cassidy Moxley match, I thought I'm glad it's on this show. Because this was the right size crowd to me for that show, and that crowd's vibe was great for it. And I think some of it would have lost in the stadium, but the presentation of even just the little thing of cutting to Moxley and the crew walking down the hall before the music started,
and then hyping him up,
him up, and Danielson bandaged up, wearing the jacket that Claudio gave him. And then coming out and then doing the same thing with the best friends of even Statlander holding her belt, walking out with him, and just him walking out like a champion. And I love that they changed the graphic. That was a little thing. When his thing came up, instead of it saying Orange Cassidy, it said International Champion in the little handwritten script.
Yeah, the whole thing was different than usual.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And then just getting the the big intros with the spotlights, all on the ring.
Oh, that was great. That's
so
they got that. They took that from UFC.
Yeah.
The
only thing that was missing was the big like sweeping shot, coming over the crowd that they did the week before it all in. But I mean, I was here for it, man. And I had convinced myself that Orange needed to win. I think if he had, it would have been an all-timer moment for AEW.
I still think he should have.
I think he should have. I don't necessarily think they did the wrong thing. I don't think there was a
bad
choice.
No.
Just a good and better choice.
Orange needs a vacation right now.
Orange does
100%.
Well, one thing, Mox.
That's true. I don't think he's ever had that vacation.
No, Mox
he was
thrives on
supposed
this.
to get.
Mox has convinced himself that he's put the company on his back again. So
is that your dog or mine?
That's my dog. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. He had to go to rehab to get a vacation.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say before we get too far away from what you guys were talking about earlier, I loved the feel, the crowd, of All Out, of All In. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we got better overall match quality here in all whatever the hell this one was.
Oh, I know. I've been doing it all night.
But I honestly think both of those things possibly revolve around CM Punk. As in, we can't forget that All Out happened. Every match on that show happened after this knockdown drag out, where one guy gets choked unconscious, Tony Khan gets attacked, and all this happens. That has to affect the morale backstage. And I'm wondering if that may have taken maybe a half star off all the matches. And then this one, where everybody's like, all this has gone down. We've got to prove ourselves. We got to do this for AEW. I'm wondering if both those things, as in I didn't think the matches were quite as good as I thought they were going to be on All Out, on All In, and were better than I thought they'd be on All Out. I'm wondering if both those things have to do with that one incident. I'm glad we're moving past, and they kind of showed where we've moved past this. This is the future.
Maybe. I wonder if Tony, like I heard that they had a talent meeting. Well, no, that was yesterday about the firing, but he probably had a meeting today before the show. And Tony, the same kind of vibe that he has when he goes out in front of the crowd, and he's just like, okay, guys, let's do this. It's let's go. Yeah, we got Kenny and Takeshita. We got the FD. Just going nuts like Don West on speed.
I wish we had giant eye glasses to do that.
So those people were probably like fired up when they went out there. Tony probably greeted them in the gorilla with a big hug, and go out and kill it. And then they went out and killed it.
And brought Danielson back. I mean,
I gotta say, my mood on this show changed. And the funny thing is, I didn't watch Collision till this morning, and I had no idea that Danielson was on Collision. Nobody spoiled it for me. I don't know how. Yeah. So when I saw that, it was like my whole mood about the show changed, like 180 degrees. Like I was gonna buy it out of obligation, and kind of like AEW always delivers, that kind of thing. But when I saw Danielson, I was hyped.
Yeah.
So, and I imagine you were too. You say he's your favorite wrestler of all time. So, and so I mean, I didn't think CM Punk and Ricky Starks was a compelling main event, and it probably would have been good, and maybe it would have been great, but this was great. So, and this main event over delivered, even though I had really high expectations going in. And
it was funny because they didn't do anything. Like if you had sat down and had written down a simulator or whatever of like, this is how I think the Orange Cassidy Moxley match could go, you probably would have come up with something pretty similar. But it just was great. It just, everything worked.
Update on All Out. It's up to number 7 on Cage Match after 14 votes.
Moving fast.
Yeah.
With a bullet.
9.13 out of 10 average.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic.
So,
this was another match like the Omega Takeshita one that I had who I thought was going to win. I had who I thought should win. And then during the match, I had no idea who was going to win. I honestly was like, I could see being.
To me, that's how you know it's a good match.
Right up until the last move of this match.
Yeah.
That
was the one downside when I was like, it was the first time I went, because they did the exact same finish that Jericho did a week before.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Which was just him getting laid out. He takes the death blow, kicks out, flips him off, takes another death blow, loses.
See, and I thought it was the correct move there because you really had to put Ospreay over. But in this case, I thought, like, number one, I just didn't want it to end.
Right.
But if Orange had won, this was a 5-star match. So to me, I went like 4 3/4, which is still a incredible match.
Great match,
yeah. But and no shade on it at all,
right?
Because that was a worthy main event.
Yeah, and I think as much as we talked about what it would have done for Cassidy, he was elevated, just like Ricky Starks. He did come out of that as a tippy top guy, cemented. The Mox treated him great. There was even a thing when they were walking up the stairs. I didn't catch it on the mic, but like Mox makes a comment to Danielson of like, who was that guy? Like,
and then they let him sit in the ring until BCC had all left, and they did like the Kurt Angle thing. Or was Benoit? Except I don't think Orange kind of read the situation quite correctly, but it was pretty good. But I was left from this thinking, okay, well, after All In, I thought, okay, next year, All In, you got to work towards Will Ospreay winning the world title at All In.
Yeah.
If they sign him.
Mm-hmm.
And after this match, I'm thinking, okay, you got to work to Orange Cassidy winning the world title next year. So, and the funny thing is, Will won and Orange lost, but I think Orange, like you said, was elevated.
Yeah.
And to the point now where, like, I think if you had said Orange Cassidy's going to be wrestling for the world title, you'd be like, it'll be a good match, but it's not a main event.
Right.
Now you're like, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
And
now it's believable.
Yeah.
It's believable that he can win it. Yeah. And I think if anybody in AEW has earned, I should say, the right to wear that strap, even if just for a little while, it's freaking Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know a lot of people want to see Eddie Kingston, but, and that would be fine. But I think Orange would be the same kind of thing, but more deserving. And the fact that,
100%.
The fact that this is a day one guy that when he came in, like nobody had ever seen. A few fans. Like first time I ever saw Orange Cassidy was
super niche.
Yeah. First episode of Dynamite. And I didn't hate him. Like I liked him. I know I've seen a lot of, everybody hated Orange Cassidy when he first debuted. Yeah. I'm an old man and I didn't hate him.
So, I didn't hate him, but I had
an elderly gentleman.
I've
loved him.
I had heard Bryan Alvarez talk about him. Talk about working with him.
Yeah.
And then saying like, no, this guy can really go.
Actually, I had seen him, except I didn't remember.
Oh yeah,
because he wrestled in Ring of Honor for a couple of years, and but he was just like a generic dude. Like, his name was Orange Cassidy, but he wore tights and he had long hair.
Huh?
Yeah.
I had seen him only at a Joey Janela spring break in the Battle Royal that I don't feel like I can say since we're broadcasting.
Yeah, I saw
on these platforms. That. Yeah, and he was in the one that I believe the Invisible Man one, and after that I watched some video online and I loved it. I thought it was cool, and when I knew he was coming into AEW, I thought that'll be a nice change of pace, and I thought he would basically forever be in that Dark Order best friend spot. And we've talked in the past about how he could open a match, he could be he could be anywhere on the card. And now it almost feels like he's getting elevated above that position.
Yeah.
Where he's not going to be, it will be a huge mistake, I should say, if you put him into blow off matches.
Yeah.
He needs to be at least.
He could be in an opener because in AEW, the opener means sometimes
something.
the most important. Yeah.
Yes. For the opener today.
But you can't just stick him in the middle of the card.
No, against just nobody. There needs to be a story, needs to be strong. He was a legit headliner here. And he earned that right to be.
And Mox elevates that title.
Yes.
He can take it, do it on those indie shows that he likes to do, and when someone else beats Mox, they're going to be elevated.
Yep.
So,
for some reason, I only just realized how unfortunate it is that we currently have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre belt that John Moxley didn't even have a shot at.
Hey,
it seems very unfortunate.
My vote was for Jeff Jarrett to defend that Leatherface title against Dennis Rodman, but it didn't happen.
Thank God you're wrong. He was not in peak working condition tonight.
No,
he wasn't.
We've been going for
by Billy Gunn.
We've been going for about an hour and 40 minutes. So I think we're getting close to wrapping it up here. Yep. Any final words from you two?
I am hopeful. I feel like a lot of air's been cleared out. I still think there's going to be a whole lot of mess. There's going to be plenty to talk about. We're not done with Mr. Pepsi McPunk.
I have a feeling you're right on that.
But I was telling James early in the beginning of the show, as I feel like this is a little bit like the election has happened, but there's still the insurrection and all the court cases to come.
Yeah, this is like November 6th.
Yeah.
And we're waiting until January 20th so we can move on.
We'll see. Things can go real south real quick.
Yeah.
This, of course, is me, in case anybody new's watching. This is The Boom, me and Kevin's weekly show. But Paul, where can people find you? Because your show's still coming up later this week.
Yeah, so Jeff Hawkins and I will do the Dynamite show on this very YouTube channel and on your Patreon feed. As well, I do a show with Ryan Frederick covering the world of MMA. So that drops on Wednesday morning. So you get me, you get me Wednesday morning and Thursday morning on the Patreon, and I'll be here on YouTube. Ryan and I just cut clips for the YouTube channel, but we don't do the show live on YouTube. And my final thoughts on this show were that I am like Kevin. I'm optimistic, and I think that things are going to change, and I'm hopeful that it's going to be for the better. But getting rid of your top star and continuing on at the level you're at is not the easiest thing in the world to pull off. But tonight was a good starting point to that. The downside is, again, we said 100,000 people bought the show. That sounds great, except it's lower than any other show they've done. So, like the great show, how many people saw it? Yeah. Hopefully, a lot of people will buy it on late buys. I understand that's been going on a lot lately. So, and word of mouth and everything. And I think Dynamite on Wednesday is going to have a huge rating based off of this show, based off of the Punk news and stuff. So I hope they have a really good show planned for Wednesday. And Jeff and I will talk about it on Wednesday night.
There you go. Yeah. And for anybody who's watching this for the first time, you want to know how to watch our show regularly, go to patreon.com/fightgamemedia. You can find the Boom. You can find the Dynamite show. You can find Paul's MMA show. All of that there. There's new shows every single day. We hope you'll check that out. All that for just $5 a month, less than the price of a cup of coffee. Really hoping moving forward we get a very similar AEW Collision. I liked the things Punk did with it, not necessarily all the other stuff he did. Kevin, how about you? How are you finishing this episode out?
Same. I think I'm gonna not watch any wrestling for a couple of days.
There's been so much wrestling this week. Oh my god!
I look forward. I'm going out of the country tomorrow. I'll be.
You're definitely not.
Show, but I'm probably going to cram all of this week's TV into one day on Monday for our show next week. So
you've been hit by a number of rare and exotic diseases this year, Kevin. What's the one you're going to pick up on this trip?
Well, since I didn't get dengue last time, but you told everyone I did, I think this time I'm going to try to go for it and really get it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Well, I interrupted.
I'm going to watch
Paul.
a lot of wrestling. I was going to say I'm going to watch a lot of wrestling. I'll be watching Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. I'll be watching NXT on Tuesday.
Oh my god! I'm going to watch a Maki Ito match, probably as soon as this is over, and that's it. All right, from me, from Paul, from Kevin, from all of us here at Fight Game Media. Have a great week, everybody, and we hope you'll check us out again next Tuesday morning on the Boom.